And we are back, and I'd like to welcome our second guest on the show, Marty Cooke. Thank you, Marty, so much for being on the show today.
Great being here. Thank you.
Welcome, Marty.
Thank you.
Now, tell us a little bit about the new business that you have started. It's called Sounds Great Production. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and what you do.
This was basically a hobby that we started about 10 years ago, and our family would kind of go out and do things like for public events, be nonprofits, charity type things, marathons, even did the Oyster Festival. And over a period of time, it kind of morphed into doing more and more things. So we had individuals that asked us to help with weddings and other types of events. And so it got to be, after a while, we were doing like anywhere from 20 to 50 events a year. And so we thought, you know, we're going to probably go start doing this as a business somewhat. So that's what we're venturing into now. We can do just about anything from a small event to a large event.
Okay. And I'll give our viewers an example. You actually did an event for us in January.
Right.
And it was our annual Chairman's Award. So we appreciate you being there and being our somewhat DJ, as I'll call you. And it was a great event. So thank you. That was an example.
It was great.
She gave me the perfect segue, too. It sounds great productions, so she called you a DJ. You told me off camera before we got started you're not really a DJ. So explain how that works.
I'm not really one of these guys that says, all right, everybody on the floor. I don't really do that. But what I do is we try to provide you really good sound, good audio that doesn't beat you up, if you will, something that sounds really good and is distinct. We have an inventory of about 1,200 songs. 12,000 songs. And we usually build a list based on what the individual wants, based on the venue. And we will build that music, and then a lot of times we'll pre-record that and bring it in and have that running, and then we'll also do a live mix that's hot for them as well. And we have microphones, and we can do just about anything. Like I say, we've handled everything from very small groups to as much as several thousand individuals.
All right. Now, you talk about song list, and you said you got about 12,000 songs, so let's give us a time range of songs you can cover, because the show you did for us, or the award banquet that you did for us last month, was a Great Gatsby theme. So we're talking roaring 20s then.
Yeah.
But we also mixed in, I noticed through the night, some 70s and the 80s and a little bit. So what is the range of music as far as genres and time frames that you carry?
It depends upon what the venue is, and a lot of it's a pre-production perspective, in so much as we try to figure out what the interests are of the people that will be in the room. So if we find that there's a certain demographic, they like R&B, or they like country, or they like jazz, or whatever it is that they want, and also what are they doing? Is it something that they're dancing, or they want music to enhance a dinner type thing, or whatever? Then we'll build a list based off of that. So it can be any type of music. What we were doing the other night was we felt like we had a variety of ages, and we wanted to handle anything from a country crossover to traditional beach music, to something that'd be more current. So we've been trying to, and we morph all of them together, hopefully in a recipe that works overall. So it's kind of like a stew, if you will. You try to come up with something. So if you run a certain tempo, after a while people get tired of it, and so you have to change it, and you have to continually do this. So that's what we work on.
And I think it made it very easy for me when I was choosing and talking to you about what kind of music we wanted at our event. You brought 21 CDs to me that you have used in the past, and each CD was country or jazz or different types of music. And I think that made it really easy for me to say, Marty, this is what I chose. I think this will be great. And so we actually played one of those CDs during dinner. So I think that's very helpful. And I think if somebody was interested in using you, I think that would make it really easy for them as well.
That's something we found that was a little bit more simplistic, is that if you have a venue that is, say, a dinner venue where people are primarily just going to be talking to themselves at a restaurant or type of event, sit-down type thing, then what we do is we have a type of music we play in the background, and I'd provide the individuals with this music to let them listen to it ahead of time. Each CD is about 110 minutes long, about an hour and 10 minutes long, and that shows the actual mix. Now, we don't have to go with that, but we can say that's a sample of what this is, and it very well may be that somebody wants to hear Michael Bolton, or they might want to hear Gershwin, or they may want to hear a swing aspect, or whatever it is that they want to hear. Hopefully, they'll be able to pick up saying, I really like this, I don't want this, but I really want to go with this, and so we can do a couple of things. We can play something that's prepared that runs kind of in the background, or we can actively mix with based on whatever they want at the time. They may say, hey, we want to do some line music or something like that, so we can throw in that dance music or that stuff that really has a lot of deep bass to it, and we can do that as well.
And you also, the other night at our show, we had some dance troupe come in.
Yes.
And they brought their own music.
Right.
And you were able to take their CD and play it so that they could do their dance steps and dance routine to the show, so people can actually bring that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, we've got a rack that we, depending on the venue, I mean, we've got a variety of equipment that we bring in, but the racks will have 2 or 3 different CD playback devices on it, as well as we have music coming off the computer. And so depending on what an individual wants, we can either add that to it or whatever. We can also record sound. We've done that for weddings. We've recorded actually the actual audio of a wedding, and we've also done photography as well. My daughter has done a lot of photography, so in fact I've done some photography with her. In fact, before I ever got into television, film, and audio, I was actually doing still photography professionally. And so what we do is we can actually acquire the sound of an event for someone, and then we can provide that to them as well. So cool. we can do just about anything when it comes to that type of aspect with sound.
Marty, tell us what the key to your business is. What do you think, what's the most important when you go and do an event for people?
I think it's important that we know basically what the individual wants to hear. Mm-hmm. Is the music going to match what the venue is, and are we providing that for them so they really don't have to think about it? That's one thing. I think the other thing is there is really no hiccups or problems, whereas you don't hear feedback in a sound. The microphone, there's not an issue with it or whatever. You're not blowing people out or anything else like that. And I think the other thing really is the equipment's got to be good, because the equipment's got to sound good without really overwhelming you. It's got to be something that sounds good, and that's a challenge a lot of times, but it comes from good equipment and trying to run it the right way. So I think those are keys with respect to audio equipment.
And I've been to several of your events that you've DJ'd, produced, and the sound's always good. And the one thing that I notice about your sound too is it doesn't matter if you're standing right up next to all of your equipment or at the back of the room, it's pretty even kill all the way through, and that is a good sign of good equipment.
We try to do that. We actually have metering equipment and stuff like that, so we're trying to really do the best we can for everybody.
And you do a great job.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Last but not least,
yeah,
you got some contact information for everybody out there watching today.
It's pretty easy. We don't have a website yet. We'll probably have one, but if you can remember, soundsgreat2015 at gmail.com. That's just sounds great 2015 at gmail.com, and you'll get us.
Okay. Thank you, Marty, for being with us today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And that Sounds Great Productions with Marty Cooke again. Thank you, and we'll be right back.